Welcome back to the show, guys. Baskal Korkis here. Today what we're going to be talking about is Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac desktop appraisals and how it's going to affect us on the street level, investors, consumers. On March 19th is the official start date of that program, and these are some of the things that I see that's going to come from this program rolling out. This is what's happening on the street. Most loan closings are being held up by the appraisal end of the closing process. So the reality is many loans are being held up and the closing date is being pushed back because appraisals are taking longer than expected.
Why?
There's just a lot of work and not enough appraisals. So it's just volume. So what did Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac decide to do? They decided to allow desktop appraisals. This is not the first time they've done desktop appraisals. This happened in 2008. This is gonna help speed up the appraisal process, but it's going to cause some pros and some cons. Good question. What is a desktop appraisal? So there's different types of appraisals. One, a desktop appraisal is someone on the computer checking out the data of the property and property appraiser, Zillow, and collecting as much data as possible, and maybe looking at some pictures that the listing agent put on, and they will then do an appraisal based off of what they see from that data. No one goes in person to check out a property. Then there is a drive-by appraisal, which someone actually just literally drives by in their car through the neighborhood, looks at the property, and doesn't go inside. And then we'll do more work on the desktop to come to a valuation. Then there is the full blown out appraisal, right? Where someone's coming in your house, taking pictures of every single room and doing a full appraisal. And there's even another appraisal that can go further than that, which is future value based off of improvements. So they'll give you a current value what the property is. You'll tell them what you're planning to do to the property. And then based off of what you're gonna do, and they have an if kind of statement where if you do that and things continue going the same way, then your value can be this number here. So there's many different types of appraisals. Appraisal requirements, lessen. Lending requirements, lessen. All those things happen. It makes loans easier to get, the purchasing process faster and easier, and can cause additional movement in the market, which can cause more upside on valuations. And that's a good thing, right? We don't have enough appraisers, and need to get these loans done quicker. The cons, on the other hand, is that when you're doing a desktop appraisal, it's not very accurate. You don't know what the inside is. You've all seen pictures online and on Zillow, and you're like, whoa, this thing's amazing. And then you actually go in person and you're like, wow, those were some really good, I got catfished by a property. That happens. Believe me, it happens. It's funny. It's not funny when you're an outside investor trying to buy in my market and you end up buying a property that I turned down because it was a catfish. And it's gonna be a lot of work to fix that property. So what's gonna happen is a lot of properties are gonna come in undervalue. Some properties are gonna go overvalue. And it's not gonna be very, say, accurate. And it could go one way or the other way. If things continue to get heated and we follow the trend of, say, what happened in 2008 when they started doing more desktop appraisals, we are gonna see more and more of properties going up in value that might not justify that actual price, which gives me a feeling like, hey, we're gonna have the market continue to rise for a couple more years. And that's something to be cautious about. Now, to the next point. Right now, most properties are being sold over appraised value. So appraisers have not been able to, because again, appraisers go back for 3 to 6 months on the sale history. So it doesn't match the actual current market value. So a lot of people are paying extra out of pocket because it doesn't match the appraisal. So if your appraisal comes back in low, you could end up, as a buyer, have to come up with more money out of pocket to get that deal. Because some sellers, and it's a majority of them now, are unwilling to reduce their price even if appraisal doesn't come in. Because a lender will give you 80% of purchase or appraised value, whichever is lower. Now, same thing happened to me. Bought a condo, lived in it for a few years, decked it out. Because I was gonna live in it, I didn't care. I wanted to make it super nice. I ended up selling it for like 95 grand. And the other condos back then were going for 60. Today, that same condo neighborhood is going for like 250 for the same property. I didn't want to sell it, but it was appropriate at the time to make that decision. So I was 30 grand over any other property, and someone paid cash. They didn't care because they knew what they were getting. And that's what's happening today. As people are coming in from around the world with money, and they can see a property and be like, yeah, I know everyone says it's only worth 500, but I think it's worth $1 million. So I'm willing to pay 650 for it, and I still think that's a deal. So eventually the market's gonna come up. That's their logic. We have a market where we're selling homes over appraised value, and the down payment amounts are being reduced by the requirements to buy a property, but the down payments based off of the sale price, since the appraisal is coming in lower, is actually more. It really comes down to what is the buyer willing to pay and what is the seller willing to take. That supply and demand is going to determine the true values of these properties. And based off of what we're currently seeing, the number looks like it's going to keep going up. How is this going to affect the average person that is trying to buy a new home? It's going to make it really hard, because not only is it going to be hard to find a home under $350,000, it's also going to be very hard to acquire that property, since a lot of people are coming in and paying cash or 50% cash. I would say continue saving your money, and when you know what is a good deal, be aggressive. How do you know what a good deal is? Look at 100 properties. That'll help you define what the market value is and to make a decision quickly. Next point, is this gonna put appraisers out of a job? And I'm gonna say no. It's gonna require desktop appraisals. Some is gonna be automated where there's no human interaction, but some is gonna be with a human checking and verifying. So the volume of work an appraisal is gonna have to do will increase on the computer side, but it will reduce on the physical walking through the property side. Net out, technology usually increases productivity. So those that move with times and with technology are not going to be out of work. Right now, our demand for labor is very high, and what spurred us to go to the tech route of doing appraisals is because that there isn't enough people on the ground to be able to get the job done or get it done fast enough. And on the mortgage end, I can tell you that I see that all the time, where we're trying to get appraisals and we can't. We can't even get someone to accept the appraisal bid. What does that mean? That means you're attempting to get an appraisal. So you put it out for a bid, and someone will accept that job, that position, through the appraisal company. Right now, we're putting it out to get bids so someone can say, yes, I want to do this job. I want to do this work. I'm going to go and get the appraisal done for this property. No one's taking it. It's just sitting there for days with no one saying, I want this work. So there is a problem on both ends. One, what's everybody doing? Because our supply-demand gap is big, right? So there's not that many properties available for sale. So how much work can people really be doing? And it's kind of interesting, because where is everybody? Where are all the workers? The appraisals get paid pretty well, and they only get paid if they do work. So I'm kind of wondering, where are they? By going to the electronic appraisal system, the desktop appraisals, we should be able to increase the volume. It could cause inaccurate quoting of homes, which could benefit or hurt individual buyers and sellers. Moving forward, if this continues to roll out like our 2004 to 2008 housing boom, desktop appraisals is going to help expedite the value of homes increasing. With that said, as always, do your research and study your market. Invest in the front end, save in the back end, make a lot of money. I'll see you next time.